Hi everyone, and welcome to Club Live here at Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. We are live as always on a Friday night on YouTube, so get your comments in when we try our best tonight to answer a couple of questions as well. So maybe star them as we go along. Thanks for we are getting closer to, I think, 9,000 subscribers is the next milestone. Probably to do with Rangers playing absolutely terrible this season. It's going up and up. As you can see, Mr. Carney is not here tonight. He is taking a well-earned break. So it is the three of us tonight. First of all, Mr. Ross McLean. How are you after? It's not Halloween yet, but that was a horror show last night.
That it was, mate. Good evening, mate. Yeah, I'm all right. I've just had to put myself through the highlights. I like to watch the highlights before I come on the pod to refresh the
Oh,
mind.
God.
It did not do much good. I'll say that. So yes, it's good to be on, and yes, needing a chat, mate. We are definitely in need of a chat.
Yes, I know we do a podcast and stuff, but I will not be rewatching last night. No chance. I actually did see David Edgar on Twitter, so he watched the whole game back because obviously they do a podcast too, so they're slightly more professional than us. But he said it wasn't very good watching it twice. And last but not least, the main man himself, Scotia. How are you this fine Friday night?
Evening, Al. Evening, Ross. Evening, everybody. I think this is going to probably be like a constant. I'll say whenever I come on that. Personally, I'm doing great. Really busy. Rangers wise, it's terrible, and thankfully, because I'm so busy with other stuff at the minute, I'm probably not as angry as I would be if I was solely focusing on Ranger stuff because, it's no fun at the minute, is it?
It's not at all, Scotia. And when the fixtures come out for the Europa League, we all looked at the games because we wanted to do an away trip in Europe this season, and we looked at it all. And the one that stuck out was Porto. I mean, I've been to Porto as a city; it's a fantastic city. So myself, Scotia, and Carney were looking at going. I know Scotia has booked his flights already. But yeah, we're
I'm just going for the trip, mate.
Yeah, I was about to say,
I just want to go and see the city.
It just so happened the Porto game is the last game in the Europa League, which looks like it's going to be an absolute dead rubber for us. So, yes, at least we can go and enjoy ourselves and not have to think about Rangers probably, even though they are playing. So, yes, we'll get into before we get into the brand game. Obviously, you guys haven't been on the pod. Me and Carney been on the last couple of pods recently since Danny Röhl. As we say, it's Röhl, his second name, not Röhl. Danny Röhl has been announced as first team coach. Ross, you've obviously been on before Scotia's been on, I think, in terms of the circus that was in the background. But Danny Röhl is finally the first team coach of Rangers. What was your thoughts when he was announced? Obviously, he pulled out and came back in after Muscat fell through. But what was your thoughts? And you've not been on since Muscat fell through, have you?
Nope.
So, after talking about Gerrard on the Saturday night, you had Muscat as well pull out. So, what was your thoughts on it all? And obviously, Danny Röhl getting announced as Rangers' first team coach.
I mean, delighted to get somebody over the line at the end of the day. It was way overdue, and Danny Röhl he's here, and I'm buzzing about it. Just the manner of how it happened, lads. As you say, the Gerrard shot was on, the Australia top was almost on, but we've now got there's a Germany top that I can now put on because he's finally here, and it's there's no rumour mills going about. For Danny Röhl himself, I'll whip out the classic phrase. Speaks well. He does. He comes when he was in his kind of briefing, his first introduction to the media. He looked very calm. He was sat back in his seat. He was cracking a smile. I really like the guy. Genuinely, I do. I think Germany as a place, as a footballing culture. I remember I saw a quote from I think it was Thomas Muller, and how like in Germany you grow up, you're a wee guy playing for your junior team. You're told to play as a team. And apparently that's why you don't see a lot of German players win the Ballon d'Or because, they play as a team. So if that's the sort of culture that's going to coming into our club, for a team like us, by the way, who cannot string two passes together, we can't speak to each other. If that's the sort of culture that we're bringing into Rangers, then honestly, so be it. So I'm very, very happy. Brought in his backroom staff as well. I'll try to not butcher the pronunciation. Zasha Lenza is his first backroom staff, been at Man U in Leipzig, and Matthias Clattenbach as well from Ajax, previously of Ajax. So there's some good pedigrees there behind them. And yeah, last night was not on him at all. I think you and Karen made that quite clear that you cannot judge the guy at all from last night's performance. I think the one thing that sticks out like a sore thumb in the best way possible is that how much he's emphasised we just need to win games just now. We can't, the pretty stuff, the stuff that makes a highlight reels, focus on that later. It's about 3 points. It's about wins. It's, again, so it's all well good saying that. We're one game done and one loss, unfortunately. But again, it's kind of look at the bigger picture. The guy seems like he knows what he's doing, and I genuinely feel for somebody who I wasn't too keen on whenever I first heard of him. I'm right behind him, mate. Generally, I'm right behind him. And he wears a suit. Just God bless the guy. Please stick to the club traditions, and you'll stay in everybody's good books. So yes, he's here finally, and yes, we just need to get him a team that will match the optimism that he's given me.
Yeah. Yes. We'll come on to last night in terms of the team he's inherited. But yeah, there's rumours he's going to bring in a Scottish coach as well to his backroom staff. Obviously, there's a few names done the rounds of Lee Wallace, Steve Davis, etc. So, interesting to see who he brings in. But Scotia, you've not been on for a while, I don't think. I don't think you've been on even before Gerrard was dancing about in terms of the next head coach of Rangers. Obviously Ross has been on before you. What's your whole opinion been on the process of appointing Danny Röhl, who's finally the first team coach at Ibrox? But what's your opinion on the process, how it's been, and obviously Danny Röhl being appointed our first team coach?
Yeah, the last time I was on, Russell Martin was still our manager. Thankfully, Rangers pulled the plug later on that day and gave me a nice wee birthday present at the end of the day, but I'd rather they hadn't made that error in the first place. No, I've not been on since then. The process, Ali, it was a shambles. It's an utter shambles with the stuff going out. Gerrard about to be confirmed. I think Ross and Carney were obviously done a pod. Carney had said to me in the pub on the Sunday the amount of stick he was getting off like Celtic fans commenting on it when the news broke that Saturday night. And then Muscat was there, and I mean, my opinions on both of them. I know there was that Andrew Kavanagh and that came out and done like kind of meeting with the fans and the press conference and stuff. My opinion, looking from the outside in, is that it's to do with one or two individuals that we'll probably speak about later on, rather than any other reasons. But in terms of now getting Röhl appointed, I'm very similar to Ross there. It's kind of getting to the stage where it was like, just get somebody in. We just need somebody to get in. On Danny Röhl himself, I think he's from the stuff that he's done previously under Hasenhüttl, and obviously he done pretty well at Sheffield Wednesday with the kind of restrictions that they've got. I think, was it today it just broke that's them in administration, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he done a decent enough job there with his hands kind of held behind his back. I think he's a good coach. He's got a good future in football. A slight concern is that as Rangers, is that going to be the right fit in terms of what he can do? I think this is something we've kind of mentioned in our group chats, and probably the listeners are all the same, is that it's kind of got the feeling of another kind of project appointment sort of thing, whereas what we really need right now, and I'm putting my cards on the table here, is that I was gutted when Gerrard that got announced that Gerrard was leaving, because I thought he would be the one that could galvanise us and take us going forward this season, because I'm greedy and I want like immediate improvement. I think under Danny Röhl, we might see that this will maybe take a bit of time. I'm looking at the kind of fixtures coming up, and we're kind of playing up until the international break. It's midweek, during the weekend and stuff. So will we get to see what he wants to implement in his team? anytime soon. I'd like to see wee bits and pieces, but I think we'll be waiting maybe till the international break before we start to kind of see what he'll bring to the role and how he'll do it. But I'm more positive with Danny Röhl than I was with Martin when he got announced in the summer. I will say that. But I do still, there is that wee slight worry that is this another project? But I'm fully behind Danny Röhl and what he's going to do. I want him to be successful because if he's successful, Rangers are successful, and I'm happy. So that's the most important thing. I think I've seen a comment earlier from, let me scroll back to it. It was something to do with Craig Levine. Graham Gillis.
5-5.
Graham, I just want the Rangers to win right now. That's all I want. And it's
well played.
It's a tough ask.
It's a
tough ask. It's a tough ask to see a Rangers win at the moment, but that's what I want. But no, yeah, get behind them, see what we do. But there is that wee niggly feeling that it could be another kind of project, and we could be doing another kind of pod like we've done the past pods that we've done the past month. Just further on down the line this season. Hopefully not, though.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans were looking for the word figurehead was used quite a lot. A guy that would come in like a Gerrard type that would galvanise the support and pick this squad up. I mean, we'll go into this squad and try and get something out of them this season. I think a lot of folk look at, as you say, Scotia, at Danny Röhl, as if he's 36 years of age. Scotia's younger than us.
That's a good point, Ali. That's usually it's like you hit that stage where you're older than the players, but the manager now being older than the manager is like, oh God, we're getting old, Ali.
No, I know. We can't even having a laugh about that, but I think a lot of people look at that. Obviously, he's only had Sheffield Wednesday in terms of being a manager there. He's had a good. I mean, you look at his pedigree as a coach. I mean, it's some CV he's had, to be honest, in terms of clubs he's been at. Guy at my work emailed me today. He's a big Sheffield Wednesday fan. Obviously, he told me about Gassama when we signed him. And he says you've got a gem there, and he was talking about Danny Röhl, and he says next season, once he's probably got his own players in and implemented his style of play, he thinks he'll be a success for us. But I just don't know if folk down in England quite understand the size of Rangers. And you can also say Celtic as well. And the two clubs up here, it's a goldfish bowl up in Glasgow, and you really need somebody with broad shoulders to be in that dugout and handle it. So, yes, it'll be interesting. I want to get behind him as well, Scotia. I want him to succeed, as you say. If he succeeds, we're successful as well. So I really do want it to work. I don't think he's going to get stick. If it goes, well, we're about to talk about the Brian game, Scotia, but I'll bring you back in. You mentioned we've got a lot of tough games coming up that international break. We've got Kilmarnock Sunday. We go Easter Road on the Wednesday. You've got the semi-final on the Sunday. And then I think we're away to Dundee,
Roma.
I think it is.
No,
and we've got Roma in between that as well. Roma as well in between that. But me and Carney discussed it, but I don't think you can have a go at Danny Röhl if these games go spectacularly wrong, because he's only in the door. It's not his group of players. We'll come on to two individuals in particular, probably one out of the two we'll talk about in terms of recruitment, but it can't be in Danny Röhl these next 5 games up to international break.
Yeah, I don't think you can, and certainly last night as well. I think I'd seen some people being a bit critical of him and stuff, and yeah, you can't do that. He's just 2 days in the door, if that, and what prep can you do in that time? But like I say, it's because he's going to have like game every 3-4 days apart.
Yeah,
not really much time in the training ground to kind of implement anything. So yeah, like I said, we probably won't see what his team's going to be like, and then when we can start maybe criticising. Hopefully not, though. We won't be criticising. We'll be praising. Let's try and be a wee bit positive. How he sets the team up, how he plays, how he wants to kind of implement his style. Yeah, it's. But the problem is, Ali, we're kind of at the stage where the season's pretty much bust, and it could after up to those 5 up to the international break, those games go like they could potentially go. Then our season's over, and all we're playing for is the Scottish Cup.
Yeah, well, no, it could. I mean, Europe for me, I can't see us getting out of that Europa League group, and we'll probably discuss it, but I can't see us getting out of that Scotia with Roma coming up at home. You look at a week on Sunday, Celtic aren't playing great either, but I mean, we are a shit show at the moment. You don't know if we get put the League Cup. The league could be gone. I still think the league's gone. I know we're 8 points behind Celtic and 13 behind Hearts, but I can't see us putting a run together that will give us momentum in the league, if I'm being honest about it. So by that international break, Scotia, we could be looking at just a Scottish Cup in January, and that's it, which is shocking again. But Ross, we'll move on to last night. After a negative start to the podcast, we'll move on to last night. Rangers, this is the third game in the Europa League. Obviously, we've played... it was the first game I was at Genk. We played at Ibrox, Sturm Graz, and last night was Brann, who were sitting third in their league last night. I think Brann were on about 3 points in Europa League before they played us last night. He made 2 changes last night. He brought in Giga, which I was surprised. I thought it was Cornelius injured, but obviously he wasn't. He was on the bench. So he brought Giga. And Chermiti come into the team. And I also seen that Fernandez, who apparently wasn't out of favour, he's been injured, apparently. He miraculously appeared on the bench as well last night, which I found a bit bizarre as well. But what was your thoughts on the lineup in terms of the changes? I didn't think he was going to go and make wholesale changes because he doesn't even know the team, to be honest, pretty much. But what was your initial reaction to that team that took the park last night?
I think the one confusing potentially was Giga coming in. There's been quite, in recent times, a relatively small sample of watching Giga play. So you wonder if he's looked that back in the archives. Because there was a time where Giga was right up there. As a, I was saying get him signed. There was a time where Giga was the guy. But to bring him back in was maybe a bit of a curveball. But I mean, fair play if that's what he thought was going to work. I'll be honest, I don't think Giga's the defender that I once thought he was. But anyways, I think the team itself was, other than that, probably relatively picked itself. We will need to start playing Chermiti. I reckon, he is in the absolute firing line just now. And understandably so for paying that amount of money. So I do understand when a Chermiti would come in. But he's definitely a talking point after the last night, that's for sure. Chermiti was one that was, and well, for the longest time, will skew opinions through all the fan base. But other than that, mate, it was relatively picked itself. Rothwell getting back in is maybe a wee bit of a, kind of came in a wee bit out of the cold. I know he's played not bad recently, but just it highlights as we say, the recruitment. It's just, I've been on for many a weeks saying that, as much as at the time Russell Martin, I was a big believer, was it influenced the bad performances. I thought there was a solid team there. I think there's individuals, mate. Genuinely, I think it's got to that point where I can't confidently say the team's good enough. There's individuals who are good enough, and yeah, it's the sort of thing. 11 players will come out in a team sheet. I'll nod at it, and I'll just hope that it goes well. Until I'm hoping that Röhl can come in and make those 11 players put the round thing in the back of the net at the end of the day. So Giga, as I say, Giga coming back in was a bit of a curveball, but I was just hoping and praying that that the team could go out and get the result.
Yeah, when I seen the team last night, I thought he would go with the kind of middle to front line. I wasn't surprised that Chermiti came and played. He's played the games in Europe this season. He seems to be the guy that comes in for these games. I was surprised with Giga at left centre half. I don't think he's that comfortable there, especially when you get Cornelius there, who's kind of left-sided. So I was kind of confused by that one. But Scotia, the first half, I'll be honest, I thought we were bang average. Again, there's big gaps all over the park. I think we looked lethargic on the ball, slow on the ball. Certain players like Asgard, again, I want to get behind him. There was glimpses in the first half against Dundee United at the weekend where I thought he looked good, but again, he morphed back into this kind of, I don't want to say he's lazy, but he just looks lethargic, if you want to say. He just doesn't move the ball quick enough. And we look, Ali McCoy's described us as wee boys last night. And I agreed with that. We look like wee boys on the park. We look lost. We're bullied mentally. We're weak. In the first half, Scotia, there was one period of play in the first half, about 29 minutes, and it lasted, vocal laugh, probably it lasted for all of about 3-4 minutes, where Raskin kind of dropped into where the centre halves were and the full-backs went wide. And we got a wee bit of joy there. Chermiti, who will come on, he obviously had a chance with a header, which he should have done better. Ant-Man fizzed one across to the back post, where again, Chermiti should be, but he wasn't. Asgard had a couple of half chances. But apart from that, we just look, my favourite word's powder puff. We looked powder puff all over the park. And then at 40 minutes, Tav's caught high up the park. Between John Suter and Tav, there's a massive gaping hole. They play the ball right through the middle. The guy gets a bit of joy in terms of when he plays it back. I don't think he means to do that. And it falls to their on-rushing guy who beats our players to it, and it goes in the back of the net, Scotia. And at that point, you're in the group chat going, of course, we're 1-0 down. But what was your thoughts on Rangers in that first half in particular?
Yeah, well, first of all, I really don't like the 5:45 kickoff time. It feels weird. I mean, I was off. Do you? I was off. I mean, I was off work.
It's on.
Well, I was off work, but it felt too early. I don't mind it's even like if we're in the pub going to the game at Ibrox and there's a game on the telly, that's fine, just as long as it's no Rangers. So even like at the start of the game, I was kind of a wee bit flat anyway. Seen the starting lineup, and I'm very similar to yourself and Ross in terms of my thoughts on that lineup. Wee bit surprised, Ross. I think when you hosted a pod start of the season, asked us who the player of the season would be. Both me and Carney said Giga. And oh my God, has that been a disappointment? That's I'll be taking that one back. Thank you very much. Got that one massively wrong from what I've seen so far. Yeah, the first half. I mean, I didn't see the Dundee United game, but I thought we looked better than we had under Martin in terms of at least we were trying to get the ball forward a wee bit more urgency. But there wasn't, like you say, Ali, there was. The fitness of that team's shockingly bad. We'll go back to Russell Martin. He came in and said he was going to get this team playing fast football and pressing all the time. The team don't have the fitness for that to kind of play out on the field. You could see that it's Raskin and Rothwell in the middle. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. The whole team were poor. Chermiti, he's got to score, and if he's not going to score, he's got to play that back. Was it Ant-Man, I think, was up with alongside him? Or was it Asgard? Well, Ant-Man or Asgard were up alongside him. Head it back to them. That's a boy that's lacking confidence. Although I think he did score when in the Portugal under-21s game against Gibraltar under-21s. I think
Gibraltar.
Gibraltar. Yes.
Come on.
It wasn't great. It wasn't. I thought there was improvements under Martin, but it was seeing the same issues kind of come to fruition and defensively all over the place for that goal. I felt like you mentioned there, the gap between Tav and Suter was massively big, which you would expect it to be them two to play a wee bit better with each other because they've played with each other long enough, and Suter's playing on his favoured side rather than how we started the season with Suter playing on the left, Giga on the right. It was Suter that was playing in that right centre back role. Tav just doesn't have the legs that he used to. I mean, he wasn't great. He was never a great defender, but it's showing up more and more because I think he'd been up the pitch and in an attack just before they go and score, didn't they? Couple of half chances. Raskin had a wee kind of half chance from the corner with a shot that was blocked, and then the header that at the front post that he went away wide. Yeah, I think in commentary, I think I can remember the boys saying that's Bran growing more into the game and the chances are kind of coming more, and you could feel that. You could feel that after the first 15 minutes that they were starting to just find their feet, and I don't want to say turn the screw because in the first half I don't think they did, but you could kind of feel that they were on the ascendancy, whereas we were slowly starting to get slightly worse.
Yeah, Ross. What was your thoughts in the first half? I mean, we've talked about Russell Martin for God knows how long in this podcast in terms of the way he wants to play football, etc. The players look lost, but last night you would have thought, for their own self-respect, playing for the badge, etc., in terms of playing for a new manager, that at least some of these players would have shown something to say to Danny Röhl. No, I'm your man to go forward. I want to be in that team sheet next week. Not one of them did it. And we'll come on to the second half, but I just think the attitude of them absolutely stinks. I'll give Jack Butland a pass mark, and he's had a pass mark all season. This is probably one of the guys we said we would have moved on. The rest of them, their attitude's shocking. But last night in the first half, and we'll come on to the second half, what was your thoughts at half time? Obviously, Rangers are 1-0 down, because it was a movie we've seen for me all season, and particularly in Europe. It was copy and paste for me.
Copy and paste is the word, mate. Likewise, with yourself, Butland's the only guy who gets pass marks. It's another first half where Butland's the talking point, and when that's the case, you're conceding chances here, there, and everywhere. So it's not ideal. Thank you very much, Graham, for the 199 there. That is very much appreciated. Thank you. So the first half, mate. At the same time, though, we go in try to look at the positive side of things. Chamiti scores one of those chances. Is it a different game, genuinely? And I know it's ifs and buts.
It doesn't look like scoring, though. That's the problem.
Exactly.
Do you feel like he's going to score?
Well, that's the thing. The one thing that I need in a striker is somebody that strikes a fear. If he's on the opposing team, on their team sheet, you look at him and go, right, okay, he's playing. I don't see that a lot. Maybe a bit in Miovski. I'll give Miovski a wee bit. I know he's maybe not set the header completely alight, but put it this way, if Miovski was playing for Celtic, I'd be a bit more concerned than I would be of Chamiti, if that makes sense. But I think try to literally squeeze any ounce, mate, out of it. I thought Ant-Man looked not bad. As I say, put in that cross for Chamiti. He's quick, is intense to, that right-hand side. He can go all day long. So I thought he was okay. But other than that, you're right. It was very much scratching the head and waiting on individuals. That's when you need, unfortunately, a Gassama to come up, or an Ant-Man, to be fair, to come up and dig us out of a hole like they have done previously. But there's very, very little there just now. And as you say, it was a perfect chance for them, because literally you're right. I'll say a clean slate, half-heartedly. Obviously, we know the past there, but you've got a new gaffer coming in. There's a bit of a new feel about it. I don't think many players took their chance at all, if any. So yes, Jack Butland for me. I'll tip my hat to him. But whenever we say that, mate, we're a bit at 6s and 7s. So yes, Jack Butland, man of the match coming Sunday. I shall tell you that for free.
Yeah, and if you thought the first half was poor, the second half for me was worse. You would think, I was going to say you would think you would get a reaction, but this is Rangers and this is these group of players. But you would think you would get a reaction from them in the second half in terms of Danny Röhl's got them in. Yeah, they're 1-0 down, but there's a chance still to get back into the game. But the second half, Scotia, I just thought we went from bad to worse. Honestly, we never had a grip of the game in the second half whatsoever. And then I think it was 55 minutes, whatever it was, Ant-Man, who first half he was all right in patches, but he fell away again, Ant-Man. He's quite worrying at the moment, to be honest. Lost a ball, tracked back, pulled the guy down. They get a free kick. From that resulting free kick, a ball into our box, Scotia. And you know what happens when you put a ball in our box? It ends up in the back of your net. And we're 2-0 down at that point. But again, I just thought the attitude of the players the second half, Scotia, was shocking again. They just look like a team that just, when the chips are down, they just chuck it. What was your thoughts when we went 2-0 down?
Yeah, I mean, that second half was absolutely garbage. It was really bad, and it's a theme that this team's kind of producing, that they just can't play second halves. The football, it was really poor. When they scored, my interest in the game completely vanished, and then I was kind of half watching the rest of it. It was like it was schoolboy stuff, like you say, Ant-Man giving away what he done for them to get the foul, and then defending the set piece. We're absolutely honking. Magoma gets caught the wrong side of the player that he's supposed to be marking. I don't know what he's doing away over there. I think they're probably just doing I assume that they were doing man marking. That he gets caught the wrong side of him, and the boy just deflects it into the goal, just nods the ball in that direction towards the goal. Butland can't really. There's not much Butland could really do with it, and it's calamity defending from us yet again. How many set pieces have we seen? I mean, back to that horror one against Sturm Graz, and they scored their second. It's defensively we're just no good at the minute. We're terrible. And like I say, mate, when that second goal went in, I kind of completely lost interest with the game. It was still on, but there was other stuff that I was doing that was kind of taking priority. So, but I don't think we had many chances after that. I think Moore maybe had a chance that he probably should have done better with. That was about it. I think Barron right at the death once the game was done. But it was a very poor second half.
Yeah, Ross, the second half. I mean, after that goal, as Scotia says, we brought Mikey Moore on. He had a half chance. We probably should hit the target, potentially score. Apart from that, did nothing. Their goalkeeper had nothing to do, which is a theme this season with opposition goalkeepers. They might as well lay in a deck chair because they're doing nothing with our front line. And obviously, they scored a third goal. I think it was the 79th minute. Again, come down our kind of left-hand side where Tav was on the right. Fizz a ball back. There's about, 5 of our players in the box, and the guy just hits it through them and it goes in the back of the net. At that point, you're going, this has now went from a shambles to a complete shambles. And if it was a bit worse, then we brought on Danilo as well, thinking we would get something back into the game. I laugh when I seen Danilo. He kept Chermiti on. He kept Miovski on at one point before obviously he brought Danilo on. As Scotia says, players like Mikey Moore come on, Conor Barron come on. But overall, it was an absolute horror show for Rangers last night, and one we've seen far too many times this season, especially in Europe. And let's be honest about it, no disrespect to the teams we played this season in the 3 teams we've played, but the poorest of Rangers teams that had been in the last couple of seasons would have taken care of those teams. And it just shows how bad this Rangers team is right now, that we can't beat teams like this in Europe. And we deserve to sit bottom of that Europa League at the moment. Bottom, which is embarrassing to be down there. But we deserve to be there. But a couple of players last night, Ross, we'll pick out a couple and then we'll probably go into recruitment. But the elephant in the room, and it's not this guy's fault that we paid £8 million for him. Chermiti, last night, again, for me, doesn't look like a striker. And Thelwell can tell us all these things about stats, and they've done data on this boy, and he's better than Calvert-Lewin and all this, and he's going to be the next, I don't know, best number 9 that we've ever seen in terms of a prospect. But for me, I don't want to judge him straight away, but I can't see anything in him. He doesn't look like a proper striker. He struggles to hold the ball. He's had a few chances. He's been absolutely terrible. £8 million we've paid for this guy. Now, in England, they can pay 8 million, 15 million, 20 million on potential players, and they can afford to lose that money to a point. In Scotland, if you're paying 8 million for somebody, he's got to come in, he's got to hit the ground running instantly. And this boy hasn't. I feel sorry for him because £8 million tags on his head, but he's offering nothing for us so far. And I'll come on to other players as well, but he's the one guy that the support are talking about, and Thelwell's getting banged over the head with in particular. But what's your thoughts on Chermiti? Because at the moment, I don't see anything in him at all.
No, not at all. I think the one thing for me is that we were told the exact same about, from Clement, we were told the exact same about Egerman when he came in. Mind when he came in, Clement said as soon as he came in, we can afford him in a few years' time. It's the same thing, it's the same narrative with Chermiti. Clement was spot on. It was absolutely spot on. We brought in Eggman for buttons in comparison. The point I'm trying to get is that I think going forward, we cannot isolate the market down south as, yep, that's where we need to go for all the time. I know it's an easy link, it's an easy potential transfer. And you know what? Thirlwell might have seen something in, he might have had some class training sessions, he might have whipped out a rainbow flick, you never know. And he thought, you know what, that's 8 million quid's worth. But we need to look further than down south for me, because players like Rothwell, Chermiti, Aarons, the name sounds great on paper. It does, and I'm the absolute worst for it. When you hear somebody come in from Bournemouth, from Everton, you're like, right, okay. But as I say, Iggemans, Jeffries of the world, is more in terms of the profit that we're selling them for. I think that needs to be our philosophy going forward. I know that Thelwell said that this season, it's probably safer going down south because they'll understand it. Lads, please learn. Genuinely, Thelwell, his son, please learn that there's more out there than down south, because there's way more value. 1 million quid players. Even Gisama, I know that he came from down south, but you know what I mean. You need to look elsewhere. But Chermiti, he'll need to get the ground running soon, because it's a player who we've brought him in for 8 million. If you were to try and sell him, who would want to buy him at the end of the day ultimately? Because he's not scored. There's literally, it doesn't make much sense, the signing, and the hindsight's a wonderful thing. But for me, we need to play Biofsky if we're wanting goals, because I can't see many goals coming from Chermiti just now, especially in this run of games coming up. You need somebody that, when the chances come, like they did last night, that header, that chance of that man at the back post, you need somebody who can put the ball in the back of the net. We can't take the risk with Chermiti just now. Give him some time, maybe even against Roma. See, because it is a bit of a dead Roma. I'd understand playing Chermiti against a Roma, but against Celtic on Sunday against Kilmarnock, we need to be playing Miovski for me, mate. Or Danilo. Get Danilo in. Honestly, Oasis, it's in my playlist. I'm waiting. But Chermiti, as you say, he's a massive talking point just now for all the wrong reasons. And who would have thought? You sign a player who hasn't scored in many years, and here we are. But hey, it's Rangers again. If it made sense, it wouldn't be Rangers.
Yeah, Scotia Chermiti. I don't want to pick any guy, but he's the guy that obviously a lot of folk are talking about, because he's the big money signing for us this season. We'll come on to other players, but what's your thoughts been on Chermiti? We've only really seen him in European competitions. Doesn't seem to play domestically for us. He comes on. Miovski seems to play in the domestic games for us, let's be honest about it, Miovski's not hit the ground running really when he's came to Rangers so far as well. So it's not as if he's firing goals. I think Miovski's only scored 2 goals, I think, for Rangers since he's been in. But what's your thoughts on Chermiti, Scotia, so far?
Yeah, well, firstly, because you mentioned Miovski there, I don't think we as a team are creating enough chances for the strikers. I think there was that one opportunity we created last night for Chermiti, there wasn't much else, was there? To me, I think I've seen great well put in there, something about it stinks to high heaven, and it definitely does. That's £23 million that Kevin Thelwell has spent on Chermiti by bringing him to the club that he was at. Something doesn't seem quite right there. If you're spending £8 million on a striker, you're expecting at least some return, and we're not really seeing it. And like you say, it is unfair to kind of hold that against the lad, but unfortunately, that's what we do as football fans. You've got £8 million price tag. You're going to be great. Remember Torre Andre Flo, £12 million. We expected the world from, and he died. He couldn't deliver that. I think Flo, when he was at us, he had a decent season and a half, 2 seasons with it, wasn't he? A fairly decent goal return, but not for £12 million. And I think that's where we sit with Chermiti, because we've put so much money outlay for him that we're expecting him to be absolutely brilliant. And I've not seen any evidence of that so far in Europe. And like you say, that's all he's really getting played in at the minute. He's getting played in Europe, and they've been terrible in Europe. Terrible domestically, but he's only getting on for 15 minutes, 20 minutes here and there. So it's very difficult to judge him on a domestic sense. For me, I kind of think I don't think it's going to work out. I can't really see a corner being turned there, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that moves us on to Thelwell, who you mentioned, Scotia. Recruitment. I think last night showed you how bad our recruitment's been this season. In terms of, we've spent the best part of over 30 million, I think it is. I know we've brought in, I think our net spend's been about 20, but we've spent about just over 30 million. Scotia went through a few players there, but Scotia, Kevin Thelwell, and I said it last night on the podcast with Carney, and I've said it before. He came out and when he did that interview a month or so ago, and he said the reason he went into the English market was because he thought they would hit the ground running coming up here. They're only coming up to Scotland. I think he's underestimated Scotland. I think he's just thought, we'll bring some of these guys up for down the road, and it's only Scotland up the road. But you've seen guys for England. We've known from previous transfer windows that we've brought guys for England. It doesn't work. It's happened with Celtic as well. It doesn't work. But his recruitment this season has been terrible. To spend the best part of over 30 million, and you look at what we've got in the park, Scotia, it's one of the worst Rangers teams I've seen in years. And let's be honest about it. We've seen a lot of bad teams, but you go through the back line. Aaron's a loan signing, not to be supposed to take over for Tav. No good enough. Tav, I don't think it's good enough to play for Rangers at the moment, but Aaron's isn't good enough. He's not better than him, so he's on the bench. Then you've got your centre halves. Suter, a year left in his contract. This isn't Thelwell's fault. Again, I don't think he's good enough. Jiga, bomb scare for me. Cornelius, again on loan. I think it's a bit slow for me. I'd like something better than that. The left-back situation. Magoma, again on loan, 19, 20-year young boy. We've got no backup. He should be a backup. And then you go through the middle of the park. Rothwell looks a shadow of the player that was at Leeds. Asgard, hot and cold so far. And Gassama is probably the only guy from that market down there that's kind of hit the ground running for us, Scotia. What's your thoughts on Kevin Thelwell? Because 30 million spent, and that's what we've got to show for in the park last night, is scary things. And Fernandez, Curry, I forgot about him, 3.5 million.
At least they made the bench this time, Fernandez. At least they made the bench. Yeah, like you say there, Thelwell, it's plain and simple. It's the arrogance of people that think it's a backwater. And
just a dirty league up here.
In some respects, yes, that's true. We're allowed to say that because it's our league. But I think they underestimate it. They underestimate how teams are going to play against you, and they underestimate how much teams want to, beat Rangers or put in a performance to stop them winning. To me, that's what it screams of from Thelwell: arrogance. That, I'm just coming up the road. We can spend all this money. We'll blow them over. And I've always, for years and years, I've always had a kind of reservations about going into the English market. I think it's overpriced. Well, it's definitely overpriced. These players that are going, that's pocket money down in England, £8 million. But that's all the players are now £8 million. All the players that are good are like multi-million, 20, like 60, 70, 80, 100 million. 8 million's like scraping the bottom of the barrel of stuff down there. I think that's what it is with Thelwell. He's come up here thinking, it's fine, we can do this. And he's totally underestimated what it is. I mean, you look back to, what's his name? Who's the boy that left? Clement. The boy that was there with Clement.
Niels Coppin.
Coppin, sorry, his name escaped me there. You look at Coppin, and I think he got a wee bit of criticism, but if Coppin was still there and had the money that Thelwell's been given to spend, I think he would have done a far better job than Thelwell would have, or has done so far. There's nothing for the evidence. I mean, the whole thing about hiring the son, that still stinks to high heaven to me. That's another thing that I'm not comfortable with.
Scotia, he's working 25-8 though, so
right.
Did you not
that
hear that
supposed to-
from him? You must have heard that.
I've not. No, I've honestly, mate.
Oh,
I've been.
Scott, you
as
must
I
have
say,
been
I've
living
been
under a
busy.
rock for the last week there.
No, I've
He said
been busy.
he said in terms of his boy that he went through a more rigorous process in terms of getting a job. I don't believe that. And his wee catchphrase at the end said he will be working 25/8.
All right, very good.
I know.
I hate
He
when
actually
phrases
says
like
it all
that.
there.
It's like 110%. I hate phrases like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, no, that stinks to me. I don't see it working. I can't see it working. From what I've seen so far, like you say, Gassama's probably the only one that gets pass marks. Ant-Man in bits and pieces. Where did we sign Ant-Man from? He was from abroad, wasn't he? He wasn't down south.
No, he was abroad, aye.
Yeah. Yeah, it's for me, it's not really the market. I mean, I know we had a wee bit of success when with the likes of Rebo and when Gerrard was in. But by and large, for me, certainly us Rangers, for me, from the English Championship, it tends to not work out very well for us because these players are coming from clubs that it's okay to draw a game. And I think the players as well, they don't understand the pressures of, no, it's win or nothing. You know, that's the kind of mentality that you need in players, and an awful lot of them don't have that.
Yeah, Ross, what's your... I mean, last night another video came on in the airport, and Thelwell and Patrick Stewart were getting it from some of the fans that were out in Norway last night again, saying their feelings towards him in terms of this group of players that they've brought in and the money they've spent. But what's your view on Thelwell? And last night for me was a sobering reality to Danny Röhl of what he's got to work with these players. But Kevin Thelwell to spend the best part of 30 million on that dross, let's be honest, that's polite about it, dross a lot of it. He's got to go, hasn't he? He's untenable now. Kevin Thelwell for me last night for me just showed that he has to go, but I know he won't go. But what's your thoughts on the recruitment so far? Because we're about to hit November, so you've seen these players now. But what's your thoughts on the players he's brought in?
Yeah, decisions need to be made very, very quickly. I think if we can, if I know, I agree, mate. I don't think it will go. January's a massive window for us. Genuinely, January is a massive window. Obviously Andrew Kavanagh came out and said that there will be money spent in January. So yes, that's brilliant. But for Danny Röhl, he can only do so much if he's given the players that ultimately Kevin Thelwell wants. Is maybe not Danny Röhl wants. He needs to almost puppet them and just go, right, okay, these are 11 gents in the park. I'll try and do my best. It makes a whole lot of sense why Gerrard and Musk get turned us down, because ultimately this is where it leaves you, because you by the sounds of it, you don't have much of a say. If you're Steven Gerrard coming over from overseas to do interviews to then come to this stage, I get it now. I get it, because this is what you're given, and ultimately that's then put on you. It's not. It's just now it's put on Thelwell because it's under the spotlight, because the manager's not there. It's now it's plain obvious it's the recruitment. But if it's a manager, he's the guy who's getting the blame. So from that point of view, I completely understand why we didn't get Gerald and Muscat in the end. But I also think that it's the players we've let go. Cyril Dessers, as much as he was hot and cold, you're losing a lot of goals there. Hamza Igaman, as we say, the guy's tearing it up genuinely. Over in the French league, he's honestly, I missed the guy dreadfully. And even things like, I'm pretty sure Lyle Cameron was part of Niels Coppin. I think Coppin must have brought him in because he came in before the season finished.
Yeah.
So even things like that, I understand Gassama, brilliant. I do like the look of Miofsky, but the ins and outs are just as concerning as each other. Tierney's another one as well. I know there's a big fee in Tierney, but
a lot of goals, Tierney. A lot of
goals, mate. You're right. I know. So the way I see it, we've replaced Dessers and Igaman with Miofsky, yes, and Chermiti. speaks volumes, speaks absolute volumes, and we need to get those goals back because I don't think they're coming from our current striking forces.
No, but at the same time, I do agree with Scotia. I don't think they're helped by what's behind them. I don't think they're supported. I think the midfields are disjointed at the moment. As Rothwell were asking, for me, just doesn't seem to work. Asgard, just is he one of these players? A luxury player, if you want to say it, at that number 10 that kind of floats about. I just think we need a bit of steel right through the spine of the team. I said it before we started recruiting this summer. We need to get physical guys into this team, right through the spine of the team, and then sort of build players round about that. And we've not done it. And again, we're getting bullied by teams all the time. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Danny Röhl can do in the next few weeks, because as we say, there's big games coming up. But we have a game to preview, which is this Sunday, 3:00 at Ibrox. I think there's a big display for Remembrance Sunday. Obviously, I think this is the only home game we've got before that in terms of the league. So there's a big display going in I think it's the Govan will be doing that display. I don't know if that big cannon will be there, Scotia, that they usually bring for it, which they went to fire one year and it didn't fire. And we were all standing in silence and it fired off and everyone shit themselves. So I'm interested to see if the big cannon's there. I always remember that. We play Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock are sitting just above us in the league. They are 5th, Kilmarnock. We are 6th. Kilmarnock have played 8. They've won 2, drawn 4, and lost 2. Their last game was against Hearts on just last weekend. Their Hearts, obviously, who are on some roll at the moment, comfortably beat them 3-0 at Rugby Park. I think previously before that, Kilmarnock had won their last 2 games before that. But Scotia, Kilmarnock, come to Ibrox on Sunday. Stuart Kerwell's their manager, I think, of Kilmarnock. I've not watched Kilmarnock this season, so I don't quite know how they play, but do you think they'll come and just try and frustrate us? It's not hard to frustrate the support, but yes, any team that comes to Ibrox at the moment, well, there's no easy game for Rangers at the moment because we can't win any games. But what's your thoughts on Kilmarnock coming to Ibrox on Sunday and how they'll kind of play?
I think like any team coming to Ibrox at the minute, I think they'll maybe try and keep it tight for the first sort of 20 minutes or so, straight us in the stands. And then thank you actually for reminding me that the game is actually at Ibrox. I was convinced that it was an away game. I'd already made plans and stuff that I was doing and things. If I'd known that, I probably wouldn't have been on the night because I have stuff that I need to do. So I will be there at Ibrox. But no, I think they'll come out, try and kind of frustrate us the first 20 minutes. But then I think Kilmarnock will probably go and try and have a go at us because from what you've watched over the course of this season, we're there to be got at. So they'd be stupid if they didn't. I think gone are the days where it's always going to be a low block for the full kind of 90 minutes, 80 minutes, and then maybe try and have a wee go. I think teams can sense that we're on our knees pretty much. We're a poor team. There's opportunities for them to punish us. So I think that they probably will try and keep it tight for sort of the first half of the first half. And then I think you might see them trying to actually open up and play a bit, not massively expansive or anything, but I do have the feeling that that'll happen. But I think every team that comes and plays us at the minute will be thinking the same.
Yeah, Ross, Kilmarnock on Sunday. I think just before it, I think Celtic and Hearts play each other. So something will need to give from that. But in terms of us at the moment, you just don't know with this Rangers team at the moment. I mean, against Dundee United, I'll be honest, the first half, and I know you didn't see it, Scotia, but the first half against Dundee United, I actually thought we played well, Rangers. It's probably the best I've seen us. But is that because they're getting the reaction in terms of Russell Martin's gone? Because the second half, it was a different team. They were dreadful, Rangers, again. And they seem to do this. They turn it off and on. It's mainly off, let's be honest. But Ross, what's your thoughts on Sunday with Kilmarnock coming? Because they'll fancy any team coming to Ibrox will fancy it right now. Because we're there to be got at. But what is your thoughts on Sunday? And give me your team score and first goal scorer.
So looking back at the catalogue, the last time we played them at Ibrox, we won 6-0, believe it or not. So I'm
Positivity,
feeling
I like it.
rather chipper, so I'm rather chipper. How long that'll last for, that's a different story. But until then, I shall stay quite positive. Yeah, it'll be what it'll be, mate. I don't know what to predict with anyone we come up against at Ibrox just now. Ibrox is nowhere near feared by any team just now, especially not in the league. If a Europa League team comes over, though, there's this perception of Ibrox that it's an absolute fortress. Kilmarnock, no. Just now that Rangers, you go to Ibrox, you'd actually probably prefer them at Ibrox and playing at their gaff. So I genuinely have no idea what we'll see, not at all. But if I had to pick a team that I think could go on to get us the 3 points, I'm going for Butland, Tav, Suter, Cornelius, Magoma, going for a back four. Midfield, I'm going Raskin. Not heard anything about Diamandi yet, but I'd actually start Barron. I thought Barron was okay last night. Sorry, tidying the ball. I'd maybe be starting Barron. He won't do it. I'd be starting Leo Cameron over Asgard. Genuinely, I think he's not seen. Well, I doubt that he's seen. Danny Röhl seen Leo Cameron. I'd get him in there. I really rate the guy. So I'd be getting him in. And then your front three: Gisama, Ant-Man, Majowski for me needs to be Majowski. Maybe Diego two up top. I don't know. Do you maybe play Chimete and Majowski? But I need to see a bit more from Majowski, because, as I say, we need goals. We can't gamble anymore. We need to get some things in the back of the net. So that'd be my team. I'm going for an absolutely enthralling 2-1 win to Rangers with an Ant-Man first goal scorer. So that is my team, and that is my score.
I'll take it, Ross. I'll take any win Sunday. I know some folks say, you want to see a performance as well, but right now Rangers just need to win games of football. I don't care if they're slogs. We need to win games of football at the moment, and then we can build for that. But Scotia, what's your team, your score, and your first goal scorer?
My team's very similar to Ross's. Butland in goals, same back four, Tav, Suter, Cornelius, Magoma, Raskin and Barron in midfield, Cameron just in front of them, Gisama, Majowski, and I'd bring Finlay Curtis in for this game. I probably think Röhl wouldn't, but if it was me personally, I'd bring him in. I think I've seen a few people in the comments tonight make the point that it's about Scottish players, bring Scottish players, have some people in that team that can know what it's about, know what the challenge is. That's how I would go for it, and I'm going for 3-2. I don't know where I'm pulling the odds winning this, but 3-2 to Rangers.
Oh God,
it will probably be a draw, but 3-2 Rangers. Let's be a bit positive.
There was positivity and negativity in there from Scotia. So, there's 3-2 for Scotia, but he probably thinks it'll be a draw. So there you go. Take the odd from that. But Justin Muir, as always, thanks very much, and God bless America. And yes, Justin is coming to the Viceroy very, very soon, Scotia. I think it's about 3 weeks' time. Justin's coming to the Viceroy. So, yes.
I think Scotland are playing well. Scotland are playing that night. Greece that night, I think they're playing. So I'll walk you through it, Justin.
Oh, God. Hey, Justin won't want to come now anymore. Just got to watch Scotland play Greece. But I knew that was an international break, because when he said he was coming over, Justin, I said, of all weekends you've picked, it's an international break. But probably good that he doesn't have to go and bloody watch Rangers. So, no, I look forward to it, Justin. But yeah, I agree with you, Scotia. I would probably go with the same team as you. I'd probably go with Curtis as well. Ant-Man for me, I think there's something in Ant-Man, but he's worried me recently. He's going majorly backwards. I thought he was decent in spells the first half against Dundee United, but then fell off a cliff. Last night again, but I mean, nobody was great. I thought he fell off a cliff again, but he's not been great. Curtis, for me, deserves to get a chance. I'd play him. The only other one I could see maybe coming in, and I know Ross mentioned him, was Diamandi. I don't know if he's available for tomorrow, but there's a chance he could come back in. But I agree with Lyle Cameron. I think we'll need to see him. I don't think Asgard should start. And I will go for, well, I'll try and keep it bloody positive. I'll go 2-0 Rangers. Gisama to score the first goal. So, yes, we'll see what bloody well happens. But they have to win, Rangers. They've got to start bloody winning because, the season could be done and dusted before Scotia's international break coming up. So it'll be interesting what Danny Röhl does in terms of Sunday. Does he make changes? Does he change the system? It's interesting, but I agree with Scotia. He's not getting much time in the training ground with these players because the games are coming thick and fast. But as Danny Röhl said when he came in, he just has to win games of football right now, and then he can implement his style going forward. So we will see what happened, but we have hit the hour mark. So I would like to thank everyone in the comments for tonight, everyone for their kind donations as well. And last but not least, my guests for coming on Friday night to talk about bloody Rangers. I'm sick of talking about them, Ross. Everyone that comes in at my work because I'm on a podcast and they know I'm a Rangers fan, want to talk to them about Rangers, and I'm sick of talking about them. But thanks very much for coming on.
Thank you, mate. Very, very good tonight. Yeah, listen, the good times will come back. They will come back, and hopefully that starts for a win on Sunday. Hopefully a good turnout on Sunday. Obviously, Danny Röhl's first game in charge at Ibrox. I just hope that he gets the result that we're looking for. As you say, just get the win, 3 points, and up the road. And yes, we shall hopefully kickstart a positive run of fixtures. So have a good weekend, everybody, when it comes, and thank you for this evening, mate.
Yep, and last but not least, Scotia, will I see you on Sunday? Will you be gracing me?
Yes, given that it's a home game, yes, I will be there. Yeah, I completely misread the fixture list there. So I'd already made plans for Sunday, but they'll be swiftly getting changed. I will see you on Sunday. It's been a pleasure tonight. Thanks, guys, and thanks, listeners.
Yep, no, I've got your season ticket, Scotia, so I'll need to bring that back to you. Tommy had it for the Dundee United game. So yes, I'll bring that back. So yes, I'd like to thank once again everyone in the comments and my two guests tonight. We have been Club at 22, the Rangers podcast, and we will be back with a match reaction on Sunday. Good night.